Hi guys, welcome to Book Time. My name's Julia. Today I've got a good old-fashioned book haul. I realised I bought a few books since my last haul, so I thought I'd do a new one. So I'm actually filming for the first time today in my office studio. So the place we are renting now happened to have this sort of studio thing out the back. And initially my study was going to be inside, but because my husband has to work from home at the moment and he has many computer screens and things and needs good internet, he is now located at the indoor study and I am out here in this cool studio. So I'm pretty pumped about it. I've set up my little bookshelf. It still looks a little bit low key because I haven't filled it yet. I've just got my uni books and a few things, but hopefully in future videos it will start to look a bit more spruced up. But it's got nice vibes in here and I can see the trees out the window, and it's actually really good to have a space to come where I actually have to leave the main house, walk through the yard and come here to do my work, because I feel much less like I'm getting distracted by doing housework or making extra cups of tea. I mean, I'm still going to make lots of tea, but I'm doing that sort of thing less. I'm actually getting more work done so far anyway. Also, my kids don't really know about it yet. I think my daughter only came in here for the first time yesterday. So it's good if I go to work. I mean, my kids are very small, so it's not like I'm actively lying to them. But anyway, onto the haul. These are in no particular order. Bought them over the last month or so. The first one is called Fire Country by Victor Steffensen, which is out through Hardy Grant. Victor Steffensen is an Indigenous writer, and essentially, so the subtitle of this book is called How Indigenous Fire Management Could Help Save Australia. Now, if you are Australian, obviously you will be aware of the horrific bushfires, which we've just had over our summer. If you are from elsewhere in the world, you may also know about it, because most of my international friends contacted me about it because the fires were so bad that they made international headlines. And we have bad bushfires every year, but these were very bad. Just huge. And I had, anyway, I'm not going to go into that. But anyway, the release of this was very timely, because one of the criticisms, I suppose, of the way the land had been managed was that it hadn't been managed in a way effective enough to reduce the risk of fire. Now, there's a whole debate about that I'm not going to go into, because a lot of it gets very political, and in Australia the discussion has been filled with a lot of mistruth and false news. But essentially, there has been a bit of a turn in a lot of the discussions, and even some political discussions, about using the Indigenous practice and Indigenous practices of sort of, I guess, land management, so backburning and things like that, and the way they do it, to apply it to our land now that is currently not managed by Indigenous people. It's managed by the Australian government or farmers or whoever owns it. And, you know, thinking about ways in which that might help mitigate the risk of bushfires in the future. Now, there are other factors at play, like climate change. We're not even going to go into it in this discussion. But so Victor learned from two Indigenous elders. I suppose he's inherited, in a way, the traditional knowledge about fire management and the way that the Australian landscape actually needs fire to regenerate, but a particular kind of fire that's not too hot, and in particular timing, and done in particular ways that protect the landscape, protect the wildlife and people as well. So, I suppose it's kind of just him relaying part of that cultural knowledge and the complexity of it to hopefully improve fire outcomes in Australia and the way that it's handled. But also, it's just so important that finally, you know, Indigenous people who have this knowledge, this is one way that their voice is being heard in this discussion. So I'm very excited to read that. The next one I picked up was a middle grade. I got this from my local bookstore, the Eltham Bookshop. I'm so lucky I moved to a place that has an independent bookstore just down the road. This is Lampie and the Children of the Sea by Annet, Schaap, translated by Watkinson, and it's out through Pushkin. This is just like a gorgeous little book, so I try and get the angle right. And I really can't wait to read it. Look, it's got beautiful compass rose and the end papers. It's got really cool illustrations dotted throughout, not the whole way through, but some places. So basically, I think from reading the blurb, Lampie is a girl who operates a lighthouse. One night the lantern goes out and a ship is wrecked. So I think she's punished and sent away. And then somehow there's supposed to be, the rumour has it, there's a monster living at the place that she's sent to, but it's not quite a monster. And anyway, she gets sucked into this fairy tale sort of adventure with mermaids and pirates and ships, and the ocean sounds great. I love middle grade novels with magical elements, as you know. So, pretty excited to get to that one. There's a bit of a theme running here, as I mentioned in my slow reading video, which I'm not sure if I'm going to put that up before or after this one, so you may see it in the future. I am doing a lot of research about the history of nautical instruments, so I've got Longitude by Dava Sobel out through Harper Perennial. So this is the non-fiction book, which is the story of John Harrison, who is the man who basically developed the clocks and the mechanisms, the type of clocks required to determine longitude whilst at sea. If you don't know much about this area, that was a huge problem, and that's the reason why for thousands of years many people and sailors died at sea and people got lost and shipwrecked and stuff, because they could determine latitude easily by the position of the sun and stars. They could not determine longitude till this time in the 19th century. So this is essentially the story of that. I'm finding it very interesting. I just started it this morning. I also got, in that vein, Sextant, A Voyage Guided by the Stars and the Men Who Mapped the World's Oceans by David Barrie, out through William Collins. This is, so this was the story of longitude and the clocks developed by John Harrison. This is the story of the sextant, which is the device used to determine where you are and where you want to go using celestial bodies, so the sun, the moon, the stars. This is the story of the sextant, how it was used, how it was invented, how it was used, and then examples of some big voyages. I haven't started this, but I have a bit of a quibble with the subtitle, Voyage Guided by the Stars and the Men Who Mapped the World's Oceans. Like, because I'm also reading this other book about navigational instruments about this woman who was involved. I'm sure there were others too. But also, like, as if any of these men could do it without the women at home looking after their families and running their houses and feeding them and changing their sheets. So, yeah, I feel like there's probably another side to the story that I will research after reading this. That said, I'm still very excited to read it because I'm interested in the content. Again, same vein, Mary Blewitt, Celestial Navigation for Yachtsmen. This is a technical guide to celestial navigation using a sextant, sailing by sextant, lots of calculations. I'm excited to read it. This is very niche. Probably most of you will not be interested in it, but if you have read it or if you sail by the stars, please let me know because I'm super interested. I also picked up secondhand this basically brand new edition of Mothering Sunday by Graham Swift from Scribner. Such a lovely edition. It looks like it hasn't even been read, and I paid $3 for it, so that's pretty good. This is the story of Jane Fairchild. I'm just going to read the blurb. I know this was super popular when it came out. So it's set in 1924. How will Jane Fairchild, orphan and housemaid, occupy her time when she has no mother to visit? How, shaped by the events of this never-to-be-forgotten day, will her future unfold? So I'm excited. It's very short. Maybe I'll read it in one sitting. Probably won't because I never have time to read more than 10 pages at a time at the moment, but I hope to get to that soon. I also picked up at the same store See What I Have Done by Sarah Schmidt. This is from Hatchet. I think she's an Australian writer. This is actually a fictional account of the Lizzie Borden trials. So in the late 1800s in America, in Massachusetts, a woman, Lizzie Borden, was arrested and charged for murdering her father and her stepmother. I think this is a fictionalisation of that series of events told by Lizzie's sister Emma, or for her sister Emma, the housemaid Bridget, and the stranger Benjamin, and Lizzie herself. I don't know. Obviously, this is not non-fiction. It's a fictionalised version of events, but I have heard good things. I know Jacqueline... No, wait. I can't remember if Jacqueline liked it. I know Simon liked it, and I think Jacqueline did too, but then I think Natalie hated it. Not sure. Anyway, hope to get back to you soon on that. And the last one I picked up from the same store again, also $3. What a bargain. In such good condition is Taboo by Kim Scott from Picador. Kim Scott's an Australian Indigenous writer. He identifies as an Unarmed Man. I'm actually not quite sure what it's about. The blurb sounds really interesting, but it's also quite vague. We thought to tell a story with such momentum, a truck careering down a hillside, thunder in a rocky riverbed, a skeleton tumbling to the ground. There must be at least one brave, resilient character at its centre, Tilly Coolman, and the story will speak of magic in an empirical age, how our dead will return transformed to support us again from within. So I'm not really sure what it's about based on that, except that it sounds interesting, and that may be a direct quote from the novel. I'm not sure. Again, not clear, but I like Kim Scott, so I'm going to give it a go. They're all the books I've bought recently, guys. Let me know if you've read any of them or what you've been buying recently, and we'll chat soon. Thanks. Bye.